Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Beginning in northeast Nebraska, where a Louisiana man who faced a murder charge will spend time behind bars, but on a lesser charge. A jury has found 22-year-old David Phillips Jr. guilty of manslaughter in the death of his co-worker, 31-year-old Israel Matos Cologne. It happened in March of last year. Phillips was originally charged with second-degree murder, among other counts. Authorities say Phillips shot Matos Cologne during an altercation, though he argued the shooting was in self-defense. Phillips will be sentenced in July. He faces up to 20 years in prison. Police in Columbus say they're looking for a man they say kidnapped a woman and a baby. Police say they're looking for 25-year-old Hunter Colfax. He's wanted on several charges, including kidnapping, assault, and strangulation. Police say it stems from an incident in Columbus last Thursday. A caller told police they saw Colfax dragging his girlfriend by her hair. Police say they took off before officers could arrive. The woman was later found with an infant, saying she was the victim of a kidnapping. Colfax's current whereabouts are unknown. Anyone who has any information is urged to contact Columbus Police or Platte County Area Crime Stoppers. Check your freezers. A recall alert. Packages of ground beef packed in Omaha being flagged for possible E. coli contamination. The U.S. Department of Ag's Food Safety and Inspection Service issued a public health alert on the raw ground beef items packed by Greater Omaha Packing Company. They were produced on March 28th of this year and have a use-by or a freeze-by date of April 22nd. Those who have the affected products are advised to dispose of them. Well, despite a challenge from the riot, Republican Congressman Don Bacon touting a big lead going into the May primary. Bacon says he's up 50 points over Omaha businessman Dan Fry. Now, Fry supporters say those numbers can't be believed. Joe Jordan has our report.
I love all these folks out here that are here with us tonight.
With the GOP primary less than a month away, Congressman Don Bacon is pushing the endorsements of what he calls more than 100 conservative Nebraska officials, starting with Governor Jim Pillen.
We have to get Don Bacon in D.C. for years and years to come.
At this point in the election cycle, we're at the strongest place we've ever been.
Here's the deal.
We pray you win.
You know what? We'll take all those prayers we can get.
Omaha businessman Dan Fry is challenging Bacon from the right.
And I'm very grateful for what Donald Trump has done for this nation with his policies and programs. So if that makes me a Trumper, I'm a Trumper.
Bacon is also backing Trump, sort of.
I'm going to support our nominee, and I have a choice. And it's not the perfect choice.
Do you really think you could win in the primary if you didn't support President Trump?
Yes, I'm just trying to be myself. Be candid. I have my own. I believe in God, country, first over party.
So if you're looking for somebody that's going to go to D.C. to get along and stay there forever, I'm not your guy. If you're looking for somebody that's going to go and ask the hard questions and do the right things to secure the future for your kids and grandkids, I'm that guy.
10 years ago, Fry came up just short of upsetting then GOP Congressman Lee Terry in the 2014 GOP primary. But Bacon is touting a poll of his own that finds him well ahead, 69-19, 50 points ahead of Fry. Some critics call it a push poll, a fraud.
Why do you need it, the show of support, if you're that far ahead in the poll?
I don't take nothing for granted, Joe. I don't walk through the tape in a race. I surrender.
The primary is May 14th. In Omaha, Joe Jordan, News Channel, Nebraska.
A new federal rule announced last week by President Biden bars transgender school bathroom bans, just like the one passed in the Nebraska legislature last week. The move is expected to spark another wave of lawsuits from states and advocacy groups. Nebraska, like most Republican-controlled states, have adopted laws in the last few years aimed at curtailing the rights of transgender young people. The measures include restrictions on transgender girls participating in girls' sports and on which school bathrooms transgender people can use. Some of those rules run afoul of the Biden administration's new measure, which is set to take effect in August. Well, it's spring, migration season. A lot of birds are on the move right now, and experts say there's a danger many may not realize. Jake Bartecki has more.
As the weather warms and the days get longer, hundreds of bird species are making their way north. They travel through cities as large as New York and Chicago, as well as through countless Midwestern towns, including many in Nebraska. The journey can be a treacherous one, as each year upwards of 100 million birds die due to collisions and window strikes.
The prevailing opinion amongst ornithologists is that one of the largest sources of anthropogenic mortality in birds is collisions with windows and, in some cases, with towers.
Bob Zink works as a professor of natural resources at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and serves as a curator of zoology for the Nebraska State Museum. Each year, he and his team collect numerous samples of birds involved in window strikes. This entire collection of common yellowthroats and this collection of Swainson's thrush were all collected within UNL's campus. Allison Johnson works in the School of Biological Sciences and explains how these strikes occur.
They're being attracted to buildings that are lit up, big swaths of glass where they are seeing their natural habitat reflected back at them and they think that they can move through it.
Birds are also attracted to buildings with lights left on overnight, similar to bugs on a porch light in the summer. But it isn't just Lincoln or Omaha where these incidents occur. Many county courthouses are beams of light in dark rural areas. They can happen at those and just about anywhere else with noticeable light.
It's not the scale of, New York City, but you're still going to have these bright spots where birds are coming in, and people are often attracting birds with food, and so that's also increasing their encounter rate with, buildings that are potential dangers to them.
Many ornithologists believe cats and collisions to be the two biggest dangers to migratory birds. But what about wind turbines?
In my opinion, wind turbines are trivial compared to house cats and windows. Wind turbines are bad for some raptors, but I think if you look at the numbers, kill attributed to wind turbines and migrant birds is a trivial component of those from cats and windows.
Buildings like the ones behind me here on UNL's city campus, such as Memorial Stadium, Old Father Hall, the College of Business, and further off campus, the State Capitol building, can prove to be deadly for migratories each spring and fall, but there are ways of prevention moving forward.
Audubon Society has guidelines for architects constructing buildings in big cities where there's going to be lots of lights and lots of migrant birds coming through, and so it's much more cost effective and helpful to birds to design buildings in the first place that are bird safe.
Thinking about where you're placing the buildings and the sort of light that's hitting the buildings and what is being reflected in those buildings is all very important in terms of how we're building things.
In Lincoln, Jake Bartecki, News Channel, Nebraska.
Spring also brings morel mushroom hunting season in Nebraska, but horticulturists say the season offers a variety of wild edibles. Dan Swanson gives us a taste.
Bob Henriksen of the Nebraska Statewide Arboretum led a foraging tour Saturday at Nebraska City's Riverview Nature Park with the promise of harvesting from nature's spring greens.
And there's a host of different wild edibles that are coming up right now. Most notably, get this, the stinging nettle.
He said online information not only tells foragers what the plant looks like, but offers delicious recipes. He said many plants thought of today as a nuisance were actually brought to the Great Plains as a food source at the breaking of a long, vitamin-starved winter. Nettles had a variety of uses.
Because a horse was the most expensive possession you owned back in the day. So if you had an 18-year-old horse and you were looking to sell it, they would feed it dried nettles with their hay, and that would energize the horse and sleek their coat.
A dozen foragers walked the nature trail where they sampled plants called bedstraw, creeping Charlie, wild violets, dandelions, and sourdock.
Tons of health benefits with these spring greens.
Henriksen said many times spring greens are high in fiber but low in calories. Their nutrition levels are often higher than those found in cultivated food plants, especially in terms of trace minerals.
Yeah, so get out there, learn more about it. I encourage you because they're worth it because they're not only nutritious, they're also tasty too.
Not all plants are edible, including the patch of wild bluebell flowers. A quick check on the internet warned that the plants are entirely toxic. From Nebraska City, I'm Dan Swanson, News Channel, Nebraska.